Welcome to Multifamily Insights. I'm your host, John Casman, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. Listen, if you are enjoying this show, I need you to do me a very, very quick favor. All you have to do is leave us a rating and review. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you love about the show, but also anything we can do to make you work harder for your investing goals. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. We've got a fun episode today. We're going to be talking to Pete Vanderveen. Pete Vanderveen is a strategic and passionate leader with a serving heart to bless those he serves. Now, he's an active father, husband, and basketball coach with a hunger to empower people everywhere he goes. Now, he has a background that includes launching over 10 companies spanning energy, fitness, franchising, youth athletics, real estate, and much more. He's participated in multiple ventures, including founding Upstarts to leading $30 million in real estate development in Native American companies and communities. Let's welcome to the show, Pete Vanderveen.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. Hey, Pete, I went over your bio at a very, very high level. Take 2 minutes and fill in some of those gaps.
Yeah, I'm just one of those guys where I want to do a better job than the status quo. So if I see something that's being done wrong, I just have a hunger to do the right way. And it's always led me to start a new company, improve on the status quo, improve on the competition. And I've always had a heart to come into teams that are struggling, and I feel for them on a personal level, and I want to help them find success. So it's always been my passion to take companies, take teams, take executives, and really help bring them to the next level through continuous improvement culture, through a lot of the strategies that I implement of reinventing what works and then fixing what doesn't, and continuously every day getting better, getting stronger. And like you and I were talking before, it's a mindset thing, it's a culture thing, it's an operations thing, it's an efficiency thing. But that led me to most recently revamping a Fortune 5 company. So really turning over a $12 billion portfolio from the ground up, but really helping unify teams, unifying culture, and then helping everyone row in the same direction, see incredible results. And that's kind of been my passion, whether it was fitness, health and wellness, faith, corporate, and then obviously real estate as well.
Yeah, and you've touched on a lot of different industries, right? You talked about, real estate, from fitness to athletics to religion. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you're touching. So take me back a little bit. I mean, how did you really get into this space? I mean, what were you doing, when you graduated or school, or just walk me to how you ended up in this space.
It was definitely organic. I took business school, and then coming out of business, I didn't really want to take the corporate ladder, so to speak. So I began the entrepreneur route right away. I got into the energy sector, so I was working internationally. And then I was also starting to found businesses. I got into real estate really early, started flipping homes. And then I actually took a big leap, and I jumped into a 60-acre subdivision that I wanted to take right through to entitlement all the way to development. I got 3/4 of the way through that. I was self-reliant on that. I capitalized the whole project, and then it went to vertical, and the market tanked. And there I stood with my shorts around my ankles, and I learned the hard way how to burn money really quick and do real estate the wrong way. But it just constantly pushed me to go back, to reinvent myself, to find a better way to learn, to grow. And it's just led me from company to company to company. And obviously my own journey was to grow and to heal and to become a better father and husband and servant leader. And then I've taken that same approach with the whole entrepreneurial corporate world of wanting to improve upon the things that aren't working. And if I'm going to show up, I want to show up game shape, and I want to tear the cover off the ball. I don't want to show up in half assets. So that's been my approach through life, is to really do better and then inspire other people to do better.
Where do you think that mentality came from?
Probably because I was that kid, that boy named Sue, that Johnny Cash. You go through life, and sometimes life will throw you some harsh curveballs, and life doesn't work out the way you want it. But I guess I just refused to just settle for status quo, and I always wanted to do better. I believed in myself, even at times where people didn't. And I just had that deep genetic code in me that was like, if you doubt me, I'm gonna show up every day until I prove you wrong.
Yeah, you've touched on a lot of different industries. So let's go broad and then we'll go into real estate in a little bit. But, what are some of the challenges you see that is, really consistent across industries, whether it be, again, athletics or, fitness to energy to these different sectors? What are some of those common challenges you see these businesses and companies dealing with?
I think today one of the things that really lacks is leadership. I think we assume that when someone gets promoted to a position that they know how to lead. And I think in this modern day culture with politics and all this stuff, we have people that are leading and they have zero leadership ability. So I think one of the problems is ego and status starts to trump the ability of actually being a leader and being a facilitator of change, be an agent of change. And I think that is really flawed a lot of the leadership capabilities within corporations, because you have people that are leading from the top, but they're doing zero good in terms of inspiring and facilitating change and increasing morale and really helping push the trajectory of the company in a healthy way and in a healthy direction. So I think that is one of the biggest issues that I see corporate or in corporate America, is that just leadership is driving with ego rather than authenticity and really seeing success. It's kind of like everyone for themselves at the top. And I think that creates a downward spiral effect where, the morale isn't there, the buy-in isn't there, the everyone helps someone up, kind of this lead from behind, and kind of this servant leadership approach is just kind of non-existent in a lot of cultures. So then you don't have the players coach, you have someone that thinks they're top brass and they lead from the corner office, and it just doesn't bode well for the success of the company.
So when you come into a company that has those kind of issues, big company, small company, any company that's having those leadership issues, how do you dissect that and what do you do to kind of help them turn that around?
One of the things I focus on first is just helping formalize a new belief system in the leadership, because typically the people at the top, it's not that they don't want to do better, it's just they don't know what they don't know. And so I try to work with them. I do a lot of executive leadership coaching for the C-suite. And then when I help them see a new picture, when I help them assume a new belief system, and I show them that there's a better way of doing what they're doing, and they're not achieving the results because X, Y, Z. But when I help them see their life and see their leadership and see their impact on their sphere of influence, and when I can help them see it through a different lens, I start to create a new belief system that allows me to transcend that through the rest of the corporation, where I can help that executive thrive, and then I can help his lieutenants thrive, and then we can help the managers thrive, and then we can help all the individuals thrive. And then I kind of see my role as like the players coach, but I want to be the raising tide in the harbor that can help everyone achieve a new level of success. And then organically, now we see this collective effort where we see a 10x multiple on the company, because every individual was empowered just a little bit every day. And then you add that up over a full year. Now everyone's got 360% better. And then you collectively add that between the whole organization. Now you see an exponential growth rate. But it's like we started small and then we expanded.
Yeah, I think the thing I heard you say there was that it's really about empowering that team so they could buy into the vision, right? So starting with, that belief system, getting people to believe in something bigger or something that is more encompassing, but then also getting that buy-in and having people be accountable for that and taking on, a little bit of ownership so that they're not just blaming leadership for things that happen. Many of our listeners are entrepreneurs, whether they have, solo entrepreneurs or they have employees themselves. This is a challenge when you start to scale, because a lot of people do have a problem or challenges managing other people. So for someone who maybe has a small business and they're starting to scale, they're starting to grow, they're hiring a handful of employees, what are some things they can do to put themselves in a better position to lead that smaller team?
Well, the catchphrase that I always use is empowering human capital. And I think whether you're a C-suite Fortune 5 executive or you're a mom and pop solopreneur, I think that the magic happens when you or I become the agent of change, when you or I become inspirational because we're willing to do what it takes to become a better leader. And I mean, a better leader, like the guy that's willing to lead from the back, the guy that's willing to step down and help the next person up, the guy that's looking out for his team to make sure that they're successful because he's the accumulation of their success. That makes a leader. So when you lead from the back and you look to make everyone else empowered, but you become the inspiration for the team, which means that people can see an authenticity and transparency in you, that you're doing what it takes to become a better leader and a better, husband or wife, or better mom or dad, or a better community leader. If you yourself are striving for better, it allows you to lead without having to say a word. Because I think in this day and age, people, there's a lack of authenticity because people are saying things that they're writing checks they can't cash. So I think as a leader, if you've got a small organization or a large organization, if you can be truly genuine, that you don't know it all, but you're not going to stop till you achieve greatness, and you're willing to take everyone with you. If you do that in a small organization, it's kind of there's a catchphrase that says something to the effect of inspire people through your actions, and if you need to, use words. And I think that's the thing, is if you can show that from A to Z, that no matter what, you're that guy that the next person's like, I want to be like him, I want to be like her. That's how you can facilitate change, because you're not telling people what to do, you're showing people how to do it, and you're leading from the back. So it's about the other person first and foremost. And if I can help my team thrive, I barely have to show up because the work's already done.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that guidance there. When you talk about, the different companies you've been a part of, what are you seeing when it comes to skills, because some of the skills are transferable, some are pretty unique. What do you look for when you're trying to hire somebody or bring somebody on? What skills are you typically looking for?
Honestly, I'm a firm believer that I can teach skills, but I can't teach attitude. And I think there again, it comes back down to, I'm a big believer that companies thrive, relationships thrive, communities thrive, nations thrive when we have the right motivation. And I think it all comes down to the emotional intelligence, right? If we can focus on being better people and making a better impact, and like culture thrives because it's based on emotional intelligence. It's not based on intellectual intelligence. And I think in all these circumstances and all these companies, if you can hire people that have the want to, the desire to, and an attitude that they want to be part of something bigger than themselves, we can teach them anything. But it's the people that come in with a high intellectual intelligence and a low emotional intelligence, and all they think is, I'm smarter than you, I know more than you, I'm better than you. And it's like, well, that guy may be a stud when it comes to syndicating, but if he doesn't work as a team, well, then what good is he? So I think if you can't teach attitude, but you can certainly teach skills.
No, I appreciate that. And I think it's really helpful because attitude is so key. And you hit on that, talking about, you can't really teach that. The skills, the technical aspects, you can show someone and they can develop that skill over time, but you cannot impact the way they approach it, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. Let's talk a little bit more about real estate. You mentioned that development deal that, kind of went sour on you a little bit, but I know you've grown kind of a national real estate mastermind. You've done some other things in the space. Talk to us more about kind of what you're doing in real estate right now.
So right now we've got our team. We've transitioned from being more of a syndicator to now being a full vertical integrated BTR player in the market. So we're working on kind of the southeast of the US. We've got BTR developments gone across the southeast Sun Belt.
Can you explain BTR just so everyone knows?
Pardon me?
Can you explain what BTR is as well?
Yeah. So we're in the build to rent. So we're building these medium density micro homes that are really focused on the boomers and the millennials and the affordability side of the equation. So we're building several communities. We've got around 400 units in the pipeline that we're building across several homes or several communities. But that seems to be where we found our niche, and we're excited about the opportunity. And that's kind of where my evolution of everything from commercial co-tenancy, tenant improvements. I've been in the franchise space nationwide. I've also been in the land development, commercial development, and then I think the multifamily has really pushed me to get to the next generation, which is kind of the BTR space that I think has a lot of future opportunity. I know a lot of the market, a lot of the capital in the market is excited about the BTR space coming up.
Talk to us about that transition from multifamily to BTR.
I think one of the benefits is for us now, because we've got a powerful team, we're able to be vertically integrated, so we can do everything from the land acquisition all the way through to asset management and even the exiting side of the equation. So we control all the variables. That I find is advantageous because we can facilitate the amenities, we can facilitate the type of community that we want to design, the type of people we want to serve, and then the way that these people are served. So we control the entire pipeline. That's beneficial to us because for us, integrity, community, treating people well, those things matter to us. So when we control the entire pipeline, we can ensure that this culture remains, foundational to what we're doing. Whereas in the especially in the B and the C multifamily, you're really picking up an asset that someone else wants to dispose of, and then you've got a short window where you're looking to bring value and then dispose of it again to the next, or liquidate that asset to the next owner. So you're kind of a cog in a wheel, so to speak. Whereas the BTR space that we're in, we see it more as a lifetime investment or a legacy investment where we can make legacy changes and legacy improvements and legacy investments into other people and other communities.
Do you have a different exit strategy on BTR? Are you holding those longer term, or are you looking to sell those to another operator? What's your plan there?
I think the nice thing is we've got flexibility because we provide multiple exit strategies based on the investor appetite that we have at the time. So we do have the ability to hold and maintain that legacy asset over a long period of time. We also can exit at 5 years, or we can sell to institutional money, or we can condominiumize it. So the nice thing we have at the BTR space is we do have kind of a 3 or 4-fold exit strategy potential based on where the market is and what seems to be the best option for the investor base at the time.
I think it's really just important to understand why BTR build to rent is becoming more and more popular. There are a few things, right? You just talked about didn't mention it directly, but a lot of competition for multifamily right now, which everyone I think is aware of. And you're buying an existing asset. Typically, you're going in with the business plan that is more of a shorter term hold. Some people obviously do hold it for a longer period of time. So that's the challenge, just trying to understand where the market is. But in the build to rent, you're basically creating something that doesn't exist. And the other thing that really stands out is there's a strong demand for single family houses. So for these houses, whether it be smaller houses or not, people would typically prefer to rent a house than an apartment unit. So I think there is some growing demand for that. And that's why you're seeing a little bit more interest in this build to rent space right now. When you think about the markets and the demographic, you talked a little bit about density, but what is that criteria? Are you in specific markets? Do you look for specific household income? Talk to us a little bit more about how you go about selecting your markets to build these properties.
Yeah, I think we always refer to BTR as kind of the horizontal multifamily. So it's like apartments with rooftops. And so what we try to do is we try to focus on the favorable Sunbelt areas, secondary, tertiary markets that are strong and upcoming, but still have the affordability. Because I think the BTR space is really focused on, like you said, the people that appreciate what comes with single family, but for some reason they're not interested in remaining in the single family traditional market, so the suburbs and stuff. And I think the boomers, which are liquidating assets, and the millennials that really don't want to maintain asset ownership and that are heavily interested in investments and Bitcoin and all these types of things that the millennials are focused on. I think both of those bode well for a high demand on affordability, but yet not affordability at a loss of the amenities and not an affordability at the loss of quality of life. So the BTR space is really attractive for us because you still get the suburb-esque feel. You still get the amenities, you still get the duck pond and the dog park and the backyard, but it's just big enough for your barbecue. But it gives people that kind of suburb feel that their desire that they grew up in, especially the boomers, they grew up in those. So for them to go into a high density multifamily 6-story building doesn't really appeal to them, but this is the next best option. And then some of the benefits that we see are obviously for us as an ownership group, we still get the density ratio that gives us the economies of scale. It has a high attractiveness. The markets that we're going into are where people are transitioning from the higher Midwest in the Northeast and the Northwest corners of the country where cost of living is high, weather is more unfavorable, but they can move down to these secondary, tertiary markets where affordability is high, cost of living is low, and they can liquidate their assets, their single family homes up in the Northeast or Northwest, and they can move down and live incredibly comfortably and maintain actually a better quality of life for a much lower price point. And then the weather is advantageous, and having a strong market, a lot of these southern states is where a lot of capital is flowing. A lot of Fortune 500 companies are moving headquarters down. So there's just a lot of reasons why the BTR is a great fit. If people can have a lower quality or higher quality of life, a lower cost of living, and a secure job and income level, like it's the best. It's like a trifecta of positivities that attracts people.
If someone was interested in investing in this space, what's one thing they should know before diving in?
I think you want to find people that are a little bit more seasoned in terms of an investor, because when you get into the build to rent, it's not a quick flip. Like you said, like you're dealing with longer time frames. We have some 4 and 5 year exit strategies, but the BTR space is you have at-risk money when you buy the land, then you have to get entitlement. So you need to have investment dollars that people understand. There's more complexities to it. There's more layers to it, because the way we facilitate is the acquisition of the land is an entry point for kind of ground level investors. But then you have at-risk money, and then every phase you're adding more value to the land as you bring entitlement and infrastructure, and then you go vertical, and then you go into obviously filling these or retaining or acquiring occupancy, and then you're going into a hold. So you're really taking these investors through 6, 7, 8 steps, which isn't as quite as cut dried and as straightforward as multifamily. Multifamily is like one entry point, one exit point. Whereas the benefits to an investor are there's 6, 7 levels of appreciation where there's value add to them, but they also have to be more seasoned, or it helps when they're more seasoned because they understand the complexities of it. And they understand that this isn't just the one and done like some other investment opportunities are.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, there's definitely more complexity, which also indicates that there's a bit more risk, but there's also more upside when you have a deal like this, and you have more flexibility with multiple exit options. So certainly something to keep your eye on and to learn more. If you are interested in learning more about this strategy, you can feel free to reach out to Pete. His company is Legacy Acquisitions. You go to legacyacquisitions.com. Pete, I want to talk a little bit more about some of the coaching you do right now. So you've got your mastermind. I know you coach high-end, or I shouldn't say high-end, but you coach, higher net worth professionals and corporate professionals, senior executives. Talk to us a little bit more about that aspect of what you're doing.
So that really comes from a desire that I've had, because I haven't had an easy walk, but what I've had to do is figure out the hard way how to thrive in life and find what I would say is true success, which is, being the best dad, best husband, the best friend I could be, the best leader I could be. So to me, servant leadership is huge. And what I have a passion to do is help those other people that have encountered places and situations in life where they get stuck. And when you're an executive, they say it's lonely at the top, but it's truly lonely because one is the people around them have kind of a predisposition to think that you have it all together, like you have all the answers. And when you tell someone that you don't, people start to question, like, why not? This can't be that. Or people just around you don't understand you. So a lot of leaders, they feel the pressure to lead. They feel the pressure to have it all together. They feel the pressure that they need to be some, person of significance, but yet they don't have people, they don't have support. They don't have people that understand them. They don't have people to turn to, because most people don't understand the pressures on the corporate side. They don't understand the pressures on the personal side. So it just becomes like the walls close in. And I certainly experienced that when I was in the Fortune 5 company, where I had billions on my plate. I had thousands of employees, and yet I had to try to keep it all together. And it's a dynamic place to be, where you're being pulled in 10 different directions, and you have a regiment to maintain, and you have responsibilities you can't flake on, but yet your family's not going to wait on the sidelines. And it just compounds over time. So my passion has really helped these executives to not throw the baby out with the bathwater, thinking it's one or the other. Too many corporate American executives, it's like either business success or personal success. They don't see them intertwined. And to me, the magic happens when you can help someone thrive personally and professionally, because your personal thriving will maximize your professional success. But corporate America, Wall Street tells you that you give it all at the office, and then whatever's left at home when you get there, throw them some scraps and then return to the boardroom. And that eventually ends up in catastrophic failure. So I have a heart for people to get a life that's truly balanced on all levels, where they have this kind of holistic success, where they thrive personally and professionally, and then the results of that are exponential.
Pete, many listeners, one of the reasons they want to get into multifamily, or they've gotten into multifamily, is to create more freedom, more time freedom, more financial freedom, to have more balance in their lives. I know I was in corporate America and struggled with some of the things you were just mentioning. For that person who is trying to find more balance, whether it be those executives or, some of our real estate investors who are looking to scale so they have that, what are some tips? Give us one or two tips or insights to help us get a little bit more balance in our lives today.
I think one of the things that we all struggle with is living a life where we say, when I get there, then I'll do X, Y, Z. When I get, John, when I achieve 7-figure income, then life will be great. Or when I reach retirement, then life will be great. The problem I have with that is we treat life like it's a bunch of goalposts. And when we get to the end zone, life is amazing. But the sad part with that is, I just saw an article yesterday that said average death rate in America is like 77, 76, which means we work for 60 years, 65 years, we live. And then for 11 years, we really live, and then we die. Like, what a waste. And that's my whole point with executives, is helping them realize, if you don't live, if that hyphen on your gravestone isn't where you lived, then your birth and your death mean nothing. And for us, we need to live as executives. If we can thrive on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, if I can thrive and enjoy the journey, then life changes. My focus changes, because my life doesn't become a series of pinnacles, or a series of accomplishments, or a series of milestones, but my life is a continuity of goodness, of gratitude, of love, of opportunity. Because life is really not about getting there, because when we get there becomes here. And now I have a new there. So life is not, an A to Z. Life is a continuity. It's a journey that never ends. And you need to see your life, your success, your absorption of goodness, and your absorption of the blessings that we have. If you live that way every moment, then you're not looking for milestones, and you're not holding your breath, hoping that when I achieve that place, then suddenly life opens up.
Yeah, listen, if you're interested in learning more about Pete's coaching, you can check him out at triumphperformanceacademy.com. And again, on the real estate side, it's legacyacquisitions.com. We are going to go to our round of insights. Pete, you ready?
Ready, brother.
All right. Give me a failure or an apparent failure that set you up for later success.
I'd say my land development that I took on, and I crashed hard.
There you go. All right. Give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend for your business.
Digital. I'm a big fan of Monday.com for project management, collaboration, all that stuff, communication. Monday.com is jam up.
Give me the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
Let's say 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey. It's amazing for leadership, for just how to be the best version of myself possible.
What's a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals?
I'm a big Stoic fan, so every morning I plan out my day. I got my devotion time, I got my meditation time, I got my Stoic, I got my gratitude journal, and then I'm ready to tear the cover off the ball.
Give me your number one insight for, I'm going to say, finding balance in your life.
I think it's focusing on quality over quantity, because if you're focused on quantity, that number will be relative to the situation you're in. Whereas if you're focused on quality, you'll get the quantity you desire. You also realize that less quantity and with quality is better than less quality with more quantity.
All right. Well, let's lighten the mood. I know you're out there in Phoenix. Give me your favorite place to grab a bite to eat.
I'll go to Texas Roadhouse. Some good brisket and home cooked meal.
All right, Texas Roadhouse it is. Well, listen, Pete, you gave us some great information today. I appreciate you talking about just being in different industries and recognizing, some of the things that work or the challenges that are prevalent, no matter what the industry is. And then how do you overcome that, particularly with leadership, understanding what it takes to be a good leader, understanding what it takes to get your team to buy in, understand what it takes to give them, accountability and some ownership so that they can feel empowered. I think it's just very helpful, whether you are, again, you're at a Fortune 500 company, you're, a senior level C-suite executive, or, you're hiring a VA for the first time and you're just trying to figure out how to get the most out of them. I think it's really important to understand how to build successful teams. So I appreciate you sharing that, as well as on the real estate side, talking about BTR, build to rent, and why you're really happy or excited about that space right now and how it gives you multiple exit options. So it's definitely something that investors should keep in mind to understand what people are looking for. And maybe this is just another tool to add into the tool belt. Again, if you want to learn more about some of the things Pete's working on, his real estate company is Legacy Acquisitions. You go to legacyacquisitions.com. And then on the coaching side is triumphperformanceacademy.com. Pete, thanks again for being a guest today on Multifamily Insights. We look forward to staying in touch and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you, sir.